loser! You're a loser! Are you feeling sorry for yourself? Well, you should be, because you are dirt! You make me sick, you big baby!
Yo, what is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be going over this insane Serena build for Wall Crasher. Before I get into this video, I wanted to say that this build was founded by Sens Evades. I will have his video in the description down below. I'm also going to be having Judge Gray's video in the description down below. He goes over everything you need to know about the mechanics of the boss, but I'm not going to be going over the mechanics because if you are using Serena, you don't really need to worry about them. I do have mixed feelings about that. I'm going to give my thoughts in the end of the video, but with that being said, let's get right into the build. So starting off with Serena's build, this is going to be the build on screen. Pretty much we're going to be focusing on trying to get as much cooldown and skill cost reduction as possible. You're going to be able to achieve that with MP conversion and nimble fingers for the cooldown, and then we're going to have maximize conservation and this mod called Final Wish. Pretty much what Final Wish does is whenever you use your fourth ability, you're going to get a skill cost reduction by a certain percent. This is pretty much going to allow you to stay in the air for a very long time, which is the main goal. And then for duration, we're going to be running maximize duration and skill extension. And then for survivability, we're going to be running increased HP and HP amplification. This is also going to tie with your damage. The more HP you have in Serena, the more damage you're going to do. And then for focus on fire and focus on singular, this is only there for additional cooldown. You do not actually need to max out these mods or have them maxed out at all. It does not matter, but I just have them maxed out, so it is what it is. Now for our Arche Tuning, we are going to be focusing on trying to get as much multi-shot and HP as possible. This is just going to allow us to do the most amount of damage with this build. Now going over the Inversion reinforcement perks, you are going to want to run the elemental focus rounds of your choice. It doesn't matter what element you use, just make sure that you are using the right element focus rounds. I'm using fire in this showcase. You are going to want to also use strike point amplification and firearm control mechanism. Strike point amplification is going to give you increased weak point damage, and then firearm control mechanism is going to give you increased multi-hit chance. Now the weapon we're going to be using for this build is going to be the Ancient Knight. You can use the Albion Cavalry gun, but I think that this is the best gun for this fight just because of the fact that you get an increased multi-hit damage and multi-hit chance while in the air with this weapon, so that just puts it ahead of the Albion Cavalry gun. For the cores, we're going to want to focus on trying to get as much fire rate as possible. You can swap one of these out for rounds per magazine increase if you want to, just because you are going to be reloading a lot during this fight. We are also going to be running 2 firearm attacks on our cores and then 1 elemental attack, which is going to be the element of choice. I went with fire. For the substats on the weapon, we're going to want 1 elemental damage, weak point damage, multi-hit damage, and multi-hit chance. The build up top is going to be mainly focusing on multi-hit damage, multi-hit chance, weak point damage, and firearm attack. And also, do not build this for crit. Trust me, you will do less damage if you build this for crit. Now going over the reactor and external components. The reactor, you're just going to want any reactor, it doesn't matter, as long as it has skill duration up and skill cooldown. That is going to be the most important part of the reactor. Now for the external components, we are going to be running the ascending set and the skull crusher set. Make sure that it is in this order. You're going to want auxiliary power and sensor to be the ascending, and then you're going to want the memory and processor to be the skull crusher. This is so that you can get as much HP as possible, which is going to increase your damage. For the external component substats, I will actually have them in the description down below so that the video is not too long, and also it's just going to be a mouthful anyways, so yeah, it will be in the description. And the last thing I wanted to mention is please bring the Vesper hunting dog. Do not bring Hagios dog. The Vesper's hunting dog is going to allow you to get ammo passively over time. This is going to help with your ammo economy. Also, you can use your first ability on the boss. Make sure that you are doing that so that you get ammo back. Every time you hit something with your first ability, it will give you ammo back. So do that as well. Alright, so if you made it this far into the video, that's going to be pretty much everything you're going to need in order to fight the boss. If you want to stay for my thoughts about the boss, then you can, but if you want to exit out of the video right now, you can feel free to. So really quickly, I just wanted to give my thoughts about the Wall Crusher and what I think about this fight. To be honest, I am very disappointed with this boss. It's mainly due to the mechanics of the boss itself. Like, if you are using Serena, nothing is going to affect you, and you're you're going to be up in the air most of the time, so you're just going to breeze through this fight. But if you're using like any other floor Descendant that can't fly, then yes, the mechanics are just a little bit harder, but not to the point to where it's like the worst thing in the world. I will say too that the fact that Serena can make this boss like super easy is kind of annoying. Everyone was saying that Serena was going to be the meta for this boss, and lo and behold, she is. I don't know. The only positives I can give for the boss is how the boss looks. I'm super glad they didn't use the same boss model, like a big giant like Deathstalker or something like that. Speaking of Deathstalker, great boss execution when it came to mechanics, and when it first came out, it actually felt like it was a challenge. I do miss that. That is something that a lot of bosses nowadays are not, I don't know, they're just not reflecting off those other bosses. I have no clue why they're doing this path. I think it's mainly to do with the community and how they were giving feedback on how the bosses were just too annoying to grind, which again, if you feel like it's too annoying to grind, that's fair. But to be honest, I really miss the whole team structures when it came to like Deathstalker. Essentially, you needed a certain team in order to do that because of the mechanics, like an Ajax, a Bunny, or even a Eugen, just someone to keep people up, and then also just having the shield for the skulls or the Bunny to kill the skulls as fast as possible. I really did like that. Another thing too is Gluttony with the orbs, having to slot the orbs into Gluttony, making sure that he doesn't go into his Fury state and then wiping the whole team. This might be a hot take, I don't know, I'm not sure. I also find it really annoying that none of our builds have actually been really tested. There hasn't really been a content that came out that really pushes our builds to the limit to where we're like, oh my god, we actually need to grind these cores. We actually need to do this. It just feels like a bullet sponge constantly with majority of the stuff that comes out. Or it's either it's a bullet sponge or it's just you kill it in like 2 seconds, which I don't understand why they're missing the point. I think if they were to look at Deathstalker and Gluttony back in those times and actually look at why people enjoyed those bosses, then they can kind of evaluate whether or not they can make mechanics for those new bosses. I don't know if it's just maybe a lack of vision in their team when it comes to those said things, or if it's like ideas that they can't really think of, or if it's the fact that they're listening to feedback about players just having a really hard time and not wanting to scare off their loyal player base. I don't know. All I'm gonna say is please bring out content that makes supports viable, like Jaber, Eugen, Luna, Ajax. I just feel like a lot of the content that is just being pushed doesn't really allow those Descendants to shine at all, which is really annoying. It's really just kill everything really fast, grind out the new Descendant, get the new cosmetic, and then rinse and repeat. Maybe the Axion planes will make me change my mind, but for now I kind of just really surprised of how the 8-man boss felt. I haven't really done a lot of Axion planes. I think that's going to be the next video I make for Nell. I know she's going to be the next Descendant that I'm going to make a video on, so yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and peace.